I'll become an expert. So everybody learns differently, but that's my style. So my picture piece that I was trying to get to is this. And this is what we're trying, this is what I'm going to go through today as we talk about personality. I'm going to say these words like 75 times because we all know if you want to remember something, you have to hear it 17 times. So I'm going to try to go 18 times just so maybe you remember. Message, right? I got a person, we'll say this person over here has a problem. That's what we all do, solve problems. You're over here on the other end trying to understand what they have. And then you have to give feedback and you know, the process around what that looks like. And this imagery is something that I want you to keep in the back of your head as I walk through the next iterations of all the pieces that I want to talk about. Personality, right? Unique patterns, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, biological and environment, right? So all of us have grown up in some sort of an environment. I'm not going to even sit here and try to pretend. We have people that have not such great childhoods. We have people that have amazing childhoods. We have people that have wonderful home lives, people that might not have such wonderful home lives. At the end of the day, we're all impacted by the lives by which we've been infected. And it's going to have a bearing on us. And it is going to make who we are and our personality. And I want you to be thinking about that because as we go through this, all this for this hour, I can promise you I'm going to be giving you scenarios. And I want you guys to be thinking about, oh, like that. Oh, I had a boss like that. Oh, I had an employee like that. I guarantee. And I'm hopefully going to give you some tricks and trades that you can figure out how to manage and work with these people differently than you may have done in the past, as well as yourself. So that's part of what we're trying to achieve here. Okay, how many people have taken a personality study? Here's two. There's one that's called the DISC and the Myers-Briggs. Has anybody ever heard of either one of those? Yeah. Okay, anybody want to talk about it or comment about it? What your thought process is? Or okay, I can tell you I'm more comfortable with the DISC method than a Myers-Briggs. I've done them both, but I understand and work with the DISC a little bit more than I do with Myers-Briggs. So the point being here is, like it or not, every one of us have a personality. Like it or not, when we get into a little more than a normal stressful moment, you are going to revert unquestionably to your primary state. I'm going to go through every one of these things very carefully and help you understand what they mean, because they are going to have an impact. So again, I'm going to focus on the DISC. Myers-Briggs is another one. These are free things you can get down offline. You can take for yourself, get an understanding of yourself, but more importantly is, if you're a leader, you can do it with your team, and it'll help you communicate entirely different with your team. So let's go through one at a time. Dominance. I'm going to be totally transparent. I fall in this category. I like to win. I'm always right. And there's not much argument or negotiation about it. I'm sorry. I wish I was it this way, but it's who I am. The thing I want to walk away with is personality training to be confident, place emphasis on accompanying bottom line results, right? I mean, that's me and a team. When you're dealing with this type of individual, know going in, they think they're right. And if you don't come at them from a perspective of trying to help them understand a different perspective, they'll shut you down and they won't even hear what you say. So if you just come at it and go, no, you're wrong, you're done. I don't even hear you. It's just noise in my ear. So I'm telling you, if you know somebody like this, coming at me with I'm wrong and you're right is never going to get you anywhere. Even if you are right, it's not going to help. Stop me if you have any questions or concerns. Let's talk about influence, right? Personalities tend to be more open and place emphasis on relationships and influencing, persuading others. These type of people, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about how am I being looked at by others? How are people looking at me from a perspective of my participation in this process? Do people view me as an obstacle, as somebody that has insight and knowledge and can contribute, or am I just a pain in the butt? It's important for these people to be seen as somebody that is a go along, get along person, never going to argue for the sake of arguing. Whatever you say is fine, but that's that's not necessarily always a good thing. But you need to understand that in that person, because if it's important to you that you want their opinion, you're going to have to go about it in a different way to get, to get information from them. I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to tell you what these people aren't. You're going to have to coach it out. You're going to have to get them to come to you from a different perspective. Personality, lifetime dependable, and place emphasis on cooperation and sincerity. What I will tell you is, this type of person is really important, right? They're going to be the kind of person that's going to listen. They're going to formulate their opinions after they take in the information, and they're going to be working very closely with the influencer to figure out how we can get to where we want to be and how we want to get. So it's really important that you understand this person, because if you're in a situation and I'm the leader and I'm struggling to get my point across, this person here can help me get there, so long as you can get them on board. But to get them on board, you have to understand how to do that. This one here is this is a really good person. This is the analytical person. This is a person that's going to take data and they're going to make their decision based on the data and the quality and the accuracy of it. So if the data isn't accurate, if you're coming with emotions, this person's not going to buy it. They are not going to subscribe to the process and the plan that you're trying to do. And likely they're going to be more of a distraction, because they're going to be continuously challenging what it is that you're trying to achieve. So make sure that your facts and your figures are there. As a matter of fact, the best thing you can do, ask them to do that. Ask them to be participatory in putting it together and making sure that it does what it's supposed to do, so that they can be the person that's going to be sitting in front of you, demonstrating that data, bringing that data to the value, and understanding how that contributes so that they can be part of that process. So here's where I want to go with this. If you look at the DISC personality, again, I strongly encourage it. It's free. Go online, Google, look it up, take it yourself, and then do it for your team. As you understand the personalities that you're dealing with, it doesn't matter if you're a manager or not, right? If you're not a manager, you probably have a difficult time getting your peers to do it, but maybe go back and sell it to your manager. But the point being is, if you have this, and you have this understanding, it's phenomenal what you can do with this stuff. You can move mountains rather than just always trying to push a rope up a hill. It doesn't work. And so the ideal situation, and this is where it gets really challenging and an opportunity, if you're not at least aware of this, the likelihood of success is pretty thin. But when you're trying to build consensus in your organization, in your department, and you're pulling people together, if you're me, I'm just telling you what to do. That's not always successful. Quite frankly, it pisses some people off. If you want to be successful, the ideal situation is you make sure that you have nothing less than one each of these on your team. You pull the team together. You talk about the puzzle that you're trying to build and what the picture looks like, for those of you from this morning. And then you come together in a solution. And you've got the heavy personality saying, here's our goal. And it's my job to make sure that we're all on the same page. But you got the influencer that you're going to buy into that process, and it's going to then get on board and find ways to get the rest of the people on board, right? And you know, the data person cruncher, they're going to get on board because they're going to validate the information's back. And you know, one of the things that I'll share with you is and it depends on the personality, but between the I and the S in particular, you're going to find out as we start to learn people. One of my favorite people I ever worked with, her deal was, if I wanted her to be a truly participatory person in the projects, the day before the meeting, I had to tell her what it was we were going to do and what I expected of her. Because if I dropped it on her the day of the meeting, she was done. She just could not function. But if I could get it to her ahead of time, tell her what we were trying to do and what I was asking of her in the role, She'd go home, she'd process it, she'd sleep on it, she'd make some notes about it, and she would just knock it out of the park the next day. It was amazing. So again, as you understand it and you understand the personalities, that's the value of this whole thing. So before I go on to the next section, we've got questions, thoughts, comments, concerns around personality. Let's remember, there's a couple of things in personality that I want to remember. One, most of us establish our personality when we're very young, even before we get into kindergarten. But as we go through kindergarten, we're the type of person that's been picked on. We're the type of person that has been picking on. If we're the type of person that avoids conflict, all this is contributory to who you are and your personality. And it's going to have an impact as to how you perform in your job and what you do. There's a whole reason behind where I'm leading up to this. All these components are all going to tie together in the end. And I promise you, it's going to make you, even if you do nothing with this, I will have screwed you up because you will now look at people differently and go, oh shit, I got to deal with that person differently. All right. Communication. This word is over communicated. No answers or buts. You cannot be effective. I don't care what you're talking about. We're going to stay focused in the biomed HTM world, but you will not be effective if you can't communicate. Carol said it this morning. I can talk. I'm talking right now. It doesn't mean you're hearing it. It doesn't mean you're understanding what I'm saying. And it doesn't mean that I'm communicating. It means I'm talking and you're hearing something. If we're going to communicate, that's a whole different level. And there's a lot of slides that are going to go back to supporting what it is I'm trying to say. Oh. Direct versus indirect, assertive versus passive or aggressive, formal, informal, high context, low context, task-oriented relationship. I'm going to go through each one of these things because it's that important. And I'm going to try to give you examples around what's the difference and when's a good time and when's a not good time to think about when you flex in and flex out. The thing that I'm trying to share with you guys today is those of us that have been in the field for a while, we talk about our tool belts, our tool cases, right? Yeah, we have hammers, screwdrivers, oscilloscope, that's all lines, oscilloscopes, whatever. But the point being is you have a tool bag and you're only as good as the tools that you have in the bag. These are giving you leadership tools. They're giving you tools that you might not have otherwise that will make you more effective as a leader. And that's what I'm trying to achieve here. So when you look at direct versus indirect, right? It's direct, clear and direct. I'm telling you what to do. No fat. I want this, buy this, get it done. And indirect, well, could we work towards maybe achieving doing something along that way? And if you're the type of person that needs that direct feedback, well, then you're lost. What the hell did he just ask me to do? When am I supposed to get it done by? So we saw a little of that this morning. I mean, it's imperative. And if you're the type of person that needs direct communication and your boss is an indirect kind of communicator, then you better learn how to ask questions and do it in a way that's not being, rude, being seen as being controversial, right? Do it in a way that is respectful, that gets you to where you need to be, that gets them to where they want to be, which is an end result. All right, this one's kind of different, right? Assertive versus passive versus aggressive, right? So assertive is, again, I want to get my message across, and I don't want to put a lot of fat on the bone. I just need to get clear, and I need you to get something done, right? The passive, that's not a good thing, right? If I'm not clear and I'm more wishy-washy, then that gives you an opportunity to think, well, what did they really mean by that? And it gives you some time to think, well, it might not have been what they really wanted, and you might be going down a path to solve a problem that I never even asked you to do because I wasn't clear on my message. And the aggressive one, I guarantee we've all experienced, right? We've all had that aggressive person that they feel the only way that they're going to get their point across is if they berate, belittle, and just come down and pound on it. Well, some people, candidly, that is a good way to communicate. Not all the time, not most of the time. So it's not that you should never be aggressive, it's that it doesn't usually work too well, and most people don't deal with it very well. But the point is you have to understand the difference. And when you're dealing with somebody that's aggressive, how do you then interact and work back with them, right? I mean, that's the important thing that I want to share. All right, formal and informal. This to me is a lot about work versus non-work, right? If I'm formal, probably I'm in a work environment, right? I'm not going to use slang like, yo, man, what's going on? That's happening. How's your equipment not working? You know, tell me about your equipment, what's going on. Informal is when you're with your buddies, you're out in a social environment. But having that flexibility, because you have sometimes a relationship within various departments, is a good thing. Not always being one way, but understanding the difference and when to flex in and when to flex out, that's when it becomes powerful. The wrong flex at the wrong time, not necessarily a good thing. High context, low context, right? So shared knowledge, nonverbal cues, right? High context, low context, clear, explicit verbal communication. You know, this one's, to me, this is the next level up. Once you get to the point where you understand the rest and you can go to this way. The point I'm trying to make is communication is not just someone talking. It's somebody listening, hearing what the message is, and validating what they heard to make sure that the person saying what they say, that he can capture it right. Now, I'll get into that even more so, but I just want to stress that. So the task-oriented, you know, versus relationship-oriented. So task again, let's do this, by then, do this way, yada, yada. Very goal-oriented outcome, kind of the way I do things. Good, bad, or indifferent. Relationship, you know, hey, we're friends, and maybe I can cut some corners in my communication, and in some instances that's okay. In other instances, it's not. You know, again, you guys know this to be a fact. I use this story all the time. If I refer to home, because to me, that's what people are comfortable, right? Work is a set environment. You may or may not be comfortable there. You may not do a good job, etc. Everybody has a home, and everybody's got stuff that they're dealing with in home. And what I would say to you is that if you think about this in your personal life, those of you that are dealing with your spouse, having certain communications in a certain way, you know where that is, right? So thinking that mindset, if I'm going to have a conversation with the radiology director, and I do that in a way that's not necessarily viewed by them as being appropriate, what happens is they get wrapped around the axle, right? How many times have you been with a department head or whatever, clinician, saying that they have a problem? And all of a sudden, you're having a discussion about the discussion and not necessarily the problem anymore, because they've interpreted your interpretation of their conversation as not listening, as not hearing what they say. And then you're spun up around this whole thing, which is totally irrelevant to the situation. I can tell you in the 45 years that I've been in this industry, without exaggeration, and I'm not making up, 80% or greater of the problems that we have in this industry are because of inadequate communication. Because someone has misinterpreted something along the way. It has nothing to do with the facts of what really is the case. Is that they have found a problem where you're not hearing the way they want you to hear it, and they're interpreting your actions as being something that's uncaring, unemotional, not passionate, not engaged. And so because of that, you don't give a shit, which means I don't want you hearing me. And it becomes a problem because it's not relevant. I don't remember if this is part of the presentation I want to do, so I want to tell you a story. So I was on the board of Springfield Technical Community College years ago, where I got my first 2 year associates. I had the choice as a board member, I could have anybody I want. I was getting hired my very first person. I worked at Bay State Health System Springfield. I could have anybody I want from graduating classes being on the board. So who do you think I took? Best technician there was, right? I wanted the person that got the best grades, the strongest technician there was. And we'll call him Tom. That was his name. We'll call him Tom. Tom comes to work with me. Tom, I'm telling you, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If I'm going to the hospital, I want to know that Tom worked on that piece of equipment. Because I know it's as good or better than it was the day it came out of the box. Small problem. Tom couldn't communicate. Without exaggeration, without any reservation, every flip in time. Tom went to work on a piece of equipment. Without exception, I would get a phone call from the customer. Don't ever send that guy back here. He's a pain in my ass. He doesn't know what he's doing. And I'm telling you, your equipment's better than the one. I don't care. I don't want him either. And it was all because of the way he conducted himself in front of the customer, the way he communicated with the customer. I'm telling you, I had to finally let him go because nobody would let him come in there anymore. Even though I know there was never a technical problem with piece of equipment. The problem was him and his inability to be able to communicate. So conversely, another story. There's this guy, we call him Mike. That's his name. It's my brother. This is a true story. My brother can't spell violently. If I spell him a V-I-O, I'm dead serious. The guy used to work as a tool and die guy. I'm working at TriMex. I hire him. He comes to work for us. We put him out in St. Mary's in Amsterdam, New York. Before my brother comes on board, the radiology director is calling me not less than once or twice a week, just totally bitching up a storm about how bad we can't take care of this piece of equipment. We think it's a mess. And the thing could be down for 1 hour. And she's screaming like it's been down for months and yada yada. My brother comes in. I don't hear nothing from her for like several weeks. Something's not adding up. So I go out there. I go, are we just having a string of luck? You know, everything's broken? I mean, everything's working fine? Well, as a matter of fact, my radiology room's been down for 2 weeks. I'm like, what? Because by now I'd had 15 phone calls and my butt would be on line. I go, so let's worry about it. Mike's got it. Mike's taking care of it. I know he'll take care of it when he gets a change. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Oh man, I bring him donuts in the morning. I'm pushing down to my lady. It's all about relationships. It's about communication. He's telling them he's working on it. He's telling them that he's doing this and that. He's getting them engaged. He's letting them know. He's hearing what they're saying. And he's giving them what they want to hear. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm telling you their story. They're real life stories. And it's all about how you conduct yourself and your communication skills. To this day, yes, sir.
You take a question?
Yes, that's everybody. That's true.
Getting back to Tom, how many sit downs did you have to try to correct this behavior that seems to be in a relevant market?
Yeah, so great question. Thank you. I will tell you, I had almost a daily conversation with Tom, and I got to the point where, and I would recommend and suggest this to you guys too, because it helps. To this day, Tom and I still talk to each other. He's changed considerably, but not nearly enough for what I would allow him to do. But what I would actually do is when a customer would call me and say, this is what the situation was, I would have a conversation with him, and then I would literally take him down and have a conversation with that person and him being there so that he could see it wasn't just me saying it, and that he could hear it in his own words. It got better, but it still never got to where I want. I'm not sure this is relevant, but I want to share it with you because it might help. Here's an example of who Tom is, which I think helps you understand personality and maybe some communication. Tom worked for me for about a year. One day he says to me, I want a raise. Okay, a lot of people do that. Well, Tom, why do you want a raise? Well, because I bought a new Jeep. I'm like, well, that's nice. I bet it's beautiful. Oh yeah, well, it's great. Well, I gotta pay for it. I'm like, okay, that's fair. But here's how I look at it. This was a job I offered. My salary was posted. The responsibilities were included. You know exactly what you signed up for. I don't have in the budget for me to give you a raise right now. As far as I'm concerned, no disrespect intended. I don't give a shit if you buy the house across the street and walk across the street. I don't care if you go buy a horse and get to work. I don't care if you go buy a I don't care how you get here, what you do. But it's not my responsibility to give you a raise because you went and bought a Jeep because you want a Jeep. I tell you that story because if you haven't had those experiences, you're gonna have those experiences, and you got to stay focused on what you want. So, you know, again, Tom and I came to a mutual understanding where it's like, look, and he was